Welcome to APA Style Part 3, References. So references, remember, are the long forms of our in-text citation. Let's talk a little bit about how we actually format references. There is more information on page 1 and 2 of your APA handout. So make sure you always list your references in alphabetical order by the first author's last name. Now, I want you to be aware that you never change the order of authors. Your first author is your high prestige person, your second author is a little bit less, and on down to the 15th author. You never want to change the order because that is one of the great slap fights of academia. Who is first author versus who is 15th author. So, the other thing we need to be aware of with references and names is that APA is a gender-blind citation system. And they made the decision that in order to encourage gender-blind citations, we would refer to everybody by first and middle initials rather than by first and last name. So while I am normally Claire A. Miller professionally, which would be listed as Miller, Claire A. in MLA style, in APA style, I am Miller, C period, A period. Now there are also special rules for article titles. When we have an article or a book title, we follow the APA rules for capitalization. We only capitalize words in the following 4 instances, no matter how it's written in the original. Number 1, we always capitalize the first word. Number 2, we always capitalize the first word after a colon. That's the 2 dots, one on top of each other. We capitalize proper nouns. Now, of course, you remember that a proper noun is a person, place, thing, or idea that has a specific name. So, for example, Mount Rushmore or Florida would both be capitalized. We also capitalize acronyms or abbreviations. That includes things like APA or USA. Now, one more time, we cannot have an in-text citation, right? That's the short form in our text that we covered in video number 2, without the long form of the citation. You cannot have one without the other. You must have one in the text and one in the references. So let's talk a little bit about how to find the information for your citations. For books, you don't want to look at the cover. You want to look at the title page and sometimes the verso or the back of the title page. That's usually where the copyright date, which is what you want for your date, shows up. The book cover is actually printed by a different printing company, and there have been examples of mistakes made on the cover. So make sure you're always looking at the title page. Articles, especially if you're doing citations from the library databases, which your professors prefer and I highly recommend, they will have pre-made citations. Sometimes it'll say cite this, or it'll have a little pre-made citation. Those are fine as a starting place, but you don't want to use them as your only source. Always check your pre-made citations, or if you use a citation generator, make sure you check it against the actual handouts and the source itself. I have seen pre-made citations with terrible, terrible typos. Finally, for websites and government documents, usually the hardest piece of information to find is the date. You just scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page and you look for something like the last updated or the last copyright date. Those will work. Now, let's take a quick look at this page. This is actually the title page of a book. And here, I have translated that into a citation. Now remember, we want the author's last name. That's the very first thing we want. Here we have Edward Lear as the author. That translates into Lear, E period. Then we need the year of publication. And down here, we can see 1894 is my year of publication. Now notice that the formatting is exactly the same on your worksheet as it needs to be in your citation. The year is in parentheses followed by a period. Now we need the title of the book, and here we have it, A Book of Nonsense. And the question, of course, becomes what we capitalize according to our APA style. Well, we capitalize the first letter, always, and then we don't capitalize anything else, because remember, we only have 4 things we capitalize. First word after colon, we have no colon or subtitle. Any proper nouns, we have none of those, and any acronyms or abbreviations, and we have none of those. Now, the next 2 fields you may not have. We don't have an editor anywhere on here, and we don't have a translator, so we just skip those 2 options. Next, we need the location of publication. So Boston's a pretty well-known city, so I don't have to list the state, but if it was someplace weird like Wheeling, Illinois, we would list it as Wheeling, IL, because that is the postal abbreviation for Illinois. Followed by a colon, and then the publisher, followed by a period. So from our little worksheet, it would end up looking exactly like this. Notice my hanging indent. There are actually directions on how to set up your hanging indent on page 2 of your MLA handout. Now, books are nice and easy. Let's take a look at journal articles. Now, here is a journal article. Subjective memory deterioration in elderly people is associated with future dementia. Great. Let's do it. So we have multiple authors in this case, so we are going to need to write them all out in order, right, in the order that they're listed with the initials. So that's going to be Crane, comma, P period, K period, comma, Van Bell, comma, G period, comma, ampersand, that's our little and symbol, Wang, L period. My year is 2005, which I got from right here. The title of my article is right here, and you'll notice once again I'm following the APA rules for capitalization. Then I have the title of the periodical or journal. Now you'll notice that this is all capitalized. That is because this is the name, the proper name, just like my name is Claire A. Miller. This journal's name is Evidence-Based Mental Health. You'll notice it's italicized and it's all capitalized. Now, we need the volume and the issue number. Now, I found that information right here, but instead of saying 8.2, I had to translate it into APA style, which is 8 parentheses 2 followed by a comma. Now, page range. Page range refers to the first and last pages of the article. Now, this is where I say don't trust a pre-made citation. The only page number we have here is page 47. But when I went and looked at this actual article, it was about 15 pages long. So this is actually a lie. I had to go back and double check it against the actual article. And I got really suspicious because an article called Subjective Memory Deterioration in Elderly People is Associated with Future Dementia, almost certainly not going to be 1 page long. Now it asks for my DOI or web address, and you'll notice that this pre-made citation didn't have one. I had to go look at the actual article to find the DOI. That stands for Document Object Identifier. If it did not have a DOI, I would say retrieved from and then the website address where I got the article from. There are more information all about this in your APA handout, but this is what this citation would actually look like, complete with the missing information. Now, we have a bunch of APA-style resources. The first recommendation I'm going to make is that you always write your citations as you go. In other words, do not just say, oh, cite this, or promise that you're going to come back and cite it later, or even source number 1. Frankly, an in-text citation is the author's last name and the year and maybe the page number, and you can probably handle typing that really fast while you're writing your paper. We also have a database called APA Style Central, which has the complete APA Style Manual, plus videos and all kinds of other helpful stuff that you can use. We also have the Writing Resources LibGuide, which is one of the places that you can find this tutorial and other worksheets and fun stuff that you might be able to use. Please come by the library if you need more help. The Highlands Campus Library is open until 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday and until 5 on Friday. We are happy to look at your citations and make sure everything is good to go and beautiful, and there's really no reason you should ever lose any points for APA Style. If you need more help, we also have Ask a Librarian. This is online chat reference, so if you're stuck on how to format a specific source, this could be really helpful. Once again, the Library Reference Desk. And if you need more general writing help, the Writing Lab is located in Building Y on the 1st floor. Here's the library on the 2nd floor. The Writing Lab's right down here on the 1st floor. We look forward to seeing you. I hope this was helpful. If you get stuck or you need some help, please feel free to contact me. Thank you so much.